Hey everybody!
Hey.
Welcome to #pastorbesties. This is Melissa,
That's Nicole.
and today we're talking about a very controversial topic.
Very. To pastor or not to pastor? That is the question. And today, #pastorbesties. So, let's talk a little bit about the schedule of a pastor because it's complex and complicated.
And it's always changing.
Always, like it's not a 9 to 5 kind of job.
Ever.
No. And do you get a weekend?
I try to take what I call pastor's weekend, which is Friday, Saturday. Very rarely do I get to take both days.
Right.
But I try. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah, I take Fridays and then Mondays. Mondays I'm brain dead after Sunday, so I don't go into the office on Monday, but if I need to do something. So, I mean, it's not 2 days off in a row, but I try and take 2-ish days, but it doesn't always happen that way. And like, I don't know, I can find myself really whiny and complaining about that sometimes, and some of it's not okay.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that schedule can be awful.
But it can also be great.
Yes.
There's a lot of flexibility in
Yes.
it. There is a lot of, it's different every day. No
Yep.
2 days of pastoring is the same, which I
love that.
love.
Yeah.
I love.
But sometimes because that schedule is complicated, like it's hard to explain that to friends and family sometimes, and sometimes friends and family just like they don't get it.
Right.
So like when is a time that maybe your friends or your family didn't get it?
Yeah, my sweet mother-in-law, bless her heart, she every year invites us for Christmas Eve at her house and is kind of like shocked when we can't come. I kind of work on Christmas Eve, though. It's kind of the Super Bowl of church,
Yeah,
right? It's a big day.
deal.
Big day.
Yeah. Yeah, I have my family does a food crawl every year, and this year, yeah, it's great. We do breakfast at one person's house, lunch at another person's, and then dinner at our final destination. And this year it happened to be on a Sunday, and so I was working in the morning because church. I was
Right.
preaching, and so I got to lunch, and my aunt was like, "Oh my gosh, we missed you at breakfast. Where were you?" And I was like, working. and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot that you work on Sundays." Like, yeah, it's
Kind of the day.
it is. And so like, I mean, yeah, it happens. Do you speaking of scheduling, like do you go out on Saturday night?
Not very often because I'm one of those people that I want to be in bed early because you have to get up early and it's going to be a full day, so I want to be at my best. And if you're preaching, you have sermons to like just finish up and tweak, and I try to avoid a Saturday night out. Sometimes you can't avoid it.
Yeah, I mean sometimes I'll go out. I like to be around people, so sometimes that's the day. But I remember being out with a group of friends like on a Saturday night, and I was like, guys, I gotta go home because I have to work in the morning. And they're like, well,
Right.
can't you just call in? I'm like, well,
To who?
yeah, who do I call into? Like,
Bishop, I can't make it. Can you come fill in for me? No, that doesn't fly.
hey, JC, I'm sick. I bet you can't tell. Can you cover for me? Oh, wait. Thanks for healing me. So, I mean, like, yeah, what do you do?
Yeah. Sometimes friends and family just don't get it, and that's okay. But you know what? Sometimes we don't get it either.
That's
We,
true.
underestimate, overestimate what we can do, what we should do, what we shouldn't
Right.
do.
Yes. Like, sometimes I forget how tired I am after a funeral, and I'll like plan things.
Yes.
And then I'll be like, sorry, I can't because I'm wiped.
Yeah. Or the time that we decided to film during Advent.
Yeah.
That probably wasn't smart.
It wasn't. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, but
But
probably not smart.
Yeah.
We should probably avoid doing that next time.
yeah. Let's not do it during Lent.
Oh, very smart.
Write that in my calendar. So, I mean, yeah, sometimes we don't realize how we're gonna feel and how limited we're gonna feel.
Right.
Like I had wine and pie night, which I love. That's one of my favorite things, one of my soul-filling things. I had wine and pie night the day before my parsonage walkthrough. Not brilliant.
No.
Not a better life choice.
For those of you who aren't Methodist or maybe just don't know, that's when church people have to come and walk through your parsonage and make sure you're taking care of it and fix any problems that need fixed. And so it needs to be tidy.
Yeah. So, we think we can do it all, but we can't.
We can't. We really can't. Sometimes we just set unrealistic expectations.
Right. Well,
and
so even beyond like the scheduling part of things, which can be really hard, have you ever, so to pastor or not to pastor, have you ever pastored someone that you were like, oh, that was a mistake?
Well, yeah, you and I have done that before to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
So
That's true.
Yeah, but I do have, it's just hard. It's hard to separate your life from being a pastor because so much of who I am is being a pastor, but there are some people that you cannot pastor. They may need pastoral words, but not from you.
No.
Not from you.
No, my sister and I were just texting the other day, and she was having a rough day, and I said something to her like, it's rough right now, but that's not the whole story. The whole story is being written, so it's bad today, but tomorrow will be fine. And then she wrote me back, #pastor mode. I was like, yeah, I slipped into it without even realizing that's what I was doing. And I was like, no, actually, I was just telling myself that too. So I slipped into it without even knowing that's what it was. And she called me out on it. And it wasn't like a bad thing, because we've talked about that before when it's been a bad thing.
Yeah.
But it happens.
I have a really good pastor friend who calls me to just, kind of vent a little bit about what's going on in his congregation. And so I find myself like offering, like, oh, you should do this, or you should try this, or maybe this would work for you. And one day he was like, Nicole, stop it. Like, I just want to complain. Stop trying to fix everything. You're not my mom.
Ooh, you got the mom.
And it's true. I'm not his mom, and I'm not his pastor. We're colleagues, and sometimes I'm a fixer. Like, I want to help you,
Yeah.
But that's not appropriate all the time.
Yeah, I'm a ranter. So I have a good friend that I'll call, and we talk about once a week or so, and like I rant. And so sometimes it'll be like, you should start first because I've got a lot to say. Like I'll just, and if it's really bad, I'm just like, blah! Like that just happens. So what's happened with him is usually he'll call when I call, and if I start, he'll be like, okay, first question, is this just a rant that you need me to listen to, or do you want some words of advice? And sometimes it's not until after that I'm like, that was just a rant. Don't offer anything.
I love that.
And then there's sometimes when he pushes a little bit harder and he's like, okay, I know you said just listen, but I actually think you need to hear this, which is really great.
That's very discerning of him.
Yes. And for us, like that's part of our relationship, like that we trust each other and love each other enough to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But it's hard too, like, cause then there's times when he's talking and I'll be like, now I want to fix it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, is this just a listen or is this an offer?
I think that's smart to like ask the question, like, do you want me to offer advice or do you just want me to listen? Because I'm willing to do either.
Yeah. It can happen.
Yeah, I love that. I think sometimes we don't really know what we need, like you said, until we're like in it.
Yeah.
And that's okay too, because
Absolutely.
there are times when you don't want somebody to justify the other person's behavior. You don't want them to like try to explain or give advice. You just want them to sit in the mud with you. You just want them to be there and be like, oh, this sucks. This is just bad. Yuck.
Yeah.
This isn't fair. And I'm incensed on your behalf.
Yes. And sometimes that's the best thing that you can do.
It's like a balm, right?
Yes.
To have somebody just sit with you in it. and be like, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm here and I'm upset with you and we're just going to be here together. You're
'cause-
not alone.
Yeah, because when sometimes when there are people who offer that help and the suggestions, like it may be a good advice, like really good advice. But I don't know. Sometimes when I hear some of that advice and suggestions, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm such a failure because I didn't see that, or I couldn't come to that understanding or that conclusion. Like it seems so simple, and
Right.
then I feel even worse because, well, you clearly saw what was happening. So
It kind of reminds me of the book of Job, right? When Job is going through all this stuff and he literally is sitting in ashes and his friends are around him and then they start saying like, well, Job, maybe you should do this or maybe you shouldn't have done. Clearly you did something wrong. And as you're reading it, you're like, whoa, like just this guy has just gone through all this stuff. Like just be with him where he is.
Yeah.
And stop trying to like tell him how to fix it. Just be there.
just be. And sometimes that's the most amazing gift that you can give someone is
It really is.
just to let them be and just to be with them.
Yeah.
So it's a hard question, like to pastor or not to pastor.
And
but,
we're going to mess it up, you
so
know?
many times.
Yeah.
So many times.
Because it's hard to shut off the pastor brain sometimes.
Yeah, so sometimes you just have to apologize and be like, you're right, I'm sorry.
And just, you know, I think as a pastor, I want you to tell me when I'm doing that and you don't appreciate it so that I can work on that.
Right.
But also be forgiving and show grace because we don't mean to do it. We're not trying to be like, well, I know everything and you don't know
Right,
anything. It's
right.
just sort of like
Right.
who we are.
Right.
And it's hard to shut off.
Yeah, and on the reverse, like when you want that to happen, like, again, my sister will be like, can you put on pastor hat right now? Because I really need this. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I will shift into that for you. No problem.
Yeah.
So to know what's needed and to be able to be honest with each other and vulnerable enough to say, hey, this is what I need right now.
Absolutely. I love that.
So may you be gentle with each other. Understand that we're all in different places and different spaces and different times and different emotions. And just find a way to sit in the mud with someone else.
That's where the holiest times come.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See you guys next
See you
time.
later.
Bye.